When we think about power on a global scale, most imagine armies, trade alliances, or nations with dominant economies. However, the true power driving decisions that affect millions is not always visible. It is hidden in the fundamental resource that moves our lives. Oil in Mexico is not simply another natural resource. It is the most influential on the planet. Its strength lies not only in its quantity or quality, but in how Mexico has managed to turn it into a source of political, economic, and strategic influence. This oil has the potential to alter markets, balance international relations, and change who has the final say on the global stage. To understand this reality, we must first discover what makes Mexican oil unique and strategically valuable. Mexican crude has an exceptional balance between density and sulfur content, making it ideal for modern refineries and positioning it above many traditional producers. This characteristic allows for obtaining high-quality refined derivatives, from gasoline to complex petrochemicals demanded in regions such as Europe and Asia. Throughout history, this value did not go unnoticed. Since the early 20th century, foreign companies tried to control Mexico's oil fields, immediately recognizing their great economic and strategic potential. It was in 1938, under the leadership of President Lázaro Cárdenas, that Mexico took a decisive step by nationalizing the oil industry, confronting external interests and consolidating a heritage that would not only supply the country, but also lay the foundations for its future energy power. The chemical composition of Mexican crude is not homogeneous. It includes light and medium varieties that suit different refining processes, as well as heavier ones ideal for producing high-value products. This diversity allows Mexico to adapt to international market demands, offering oil that meets strict standards and generating greater economic benefits. The value of Mexican crude also lies in its energy efficiency. Being easily processed, it reduces operating costs for refineries worldwide and allows for higher profit margins. This efficiency places Mexico in a position that goes beyond mere production, making it an actor capable of indirectly influencing prices, contracts, and investment decisions globally. Mexico does not have a single deposit or uniform territory. It has a highly diverse and strategic oil geography, spanning from the depths of the Gulf of Mexico to the mature onshore fields of the Campeche Peninsula. This distribution provides logistical advantages, exploitation flexibility, and guarantees that the country can protect and project its energy influence even in complicated international scenarios. Deepwater deposits, such as Kumalo, allow the extraction of high-quality oil in large volumes, while mature onshore fields offer productive stability and simpler logistics. This combination guarantees that Mexico can adapt to market fluctuations, modify its exports, and maintain influence over international consumers and competitors. The geographical location of its reserves allows Mexico to diversify export routes, from terminals in the Gulf to the United States to strategic connections with Asia and Europe. This distribution capacity strengthens national autonomy and elevates the country's international importance. While other powers depend on unique routes or complex agreements, Mexico has multiple options, ensuring that its oil is always a flexible and reliable influence instrument. These reserves not only represent natural wealth but are a testament to Mexico's resilience and strategic vision, which has known how to transform its resources into sovereignty and power on a global level. The history of the oil industry in Mexico is not limited to drilling wells. It is a story of technological and strategic innovation that has converted resources into global influence. From the Cantarell era to recent advances in Kumalo and ZAP, Mexico has demonstrated that its capacity to innovate defines its place on the global energy stage. For decades, many mature fields saw their production decline. But Mexico developed advanced secondary and tertiary recovery techniques, applying methods such as water and gas injection and chemical processes to extract oil that once seemed inaccessible. This innovation not only significantly increased production, but also extended the life of deposits, transforming a resource that seemed limited into a sustainable and reliable source of power. Each additional barrel extracted thanks to technological innovation strengthens Mexico's ability to adjust production, affect global prices, and project power without resorting to direct confrontations. The efficiency achieved through these practices places the country ahead of other powers that, although they have large reserves, have not been able to combine innovation with strategic planning as effectively. Throughout history, advances in crude recovery techniques also reflect Mexican resilience. During the 1980s and 1990s, when the global industry faced price fluctuations and pressure from international corporations, Mexico chose to invest in technology, training, and monitoring systems, ensuring that its resources would neither be depleted nor lose their strategic value. The value of Mexican oil is not measured only by its quality or the abundance of its reserves, but by the country's capacity to convert it into refined products with high international demand. True influence arises when a country controls the entire value chain, from the oil field to the final product. Mexico has developed refineries capable of processing its oil with great efficiency, adapting to the most demanding global standards, which strategically positions the country with high competitiveness compared to other energy powers. Facilities like Dos Bocas represent independence and the capacity to make sovereign decisions. Millions of barrels of oil are processed there and transformed into fuels, petrochemicals, and industrial products, all with added value that surpasses crude oil. Each refinery functions as a power node. It allows the transformation of oil into products that meet international specifications, optimizes its distribution, and projects stability in competitive markets. This strategic infrastructure provides flexibility to adjust production according to global demand, turning each processed barrel into a tool for negotiation and political projection. Refineries in Mexico have a direct impact both socially and economically, generating specialized jobs, driving innovation within the local industry, and strengthening national suppliers. While other powers depend on imports of processed oil from foreign refineries, Mexico achieves operational autonomy and controls the quality and distribution of its own oil, consolidating power that combines advanced technology, robust infrastructure, and a clear geopolitical vision. Mexican oil stands out not only for its quality but also for the way it is positioned within international markets. Each barrel exported is not simply a product but a strategic tool that projects economic and political influence. Mexico has learned to place its crude and derivatives in markets where demand for quality and reliability is highest, transforming its production into a prestigious and powerful asset. After the nationalization of the oil industry, the country had to compete not only in volume, but also in the international perception of its productive capacity and quality. Mexico decided to position itself as a premium supplier, highlighting the excellence of its oil and the efficiency of its refineries. The country's geographical location adds an important strategic advantage. Its proximity to the United States, access to ports connecting with Asia and Europe, and diversity in export routes enable Mexico to quickly adapt to global demand, avoiding dependence on a single market and ensuring its products reach destinations where they generate the greatest economic and political influence. Customer diversification plays a fundamental role. Mexico does not restrict its sales to a single bloc or nation. Its oil reaches countries such as the United States, India, Europe, and various regions of Asia, and its reputation as a reliable, high-quality supplier increases its negotiating power. A nation's true oil power is not measured solely by the quantity of its reserves or the quality of its crude, but by its ability to withstand and adapt to sudden changes in global markets. Mexico has shown that its strength does not depend on luck or external stability, but on strategic planning that allows it to modulate production, adjust exports, and protect its economy against global crises. Throughout its history, Mexico has faced various crises that tested the stability of its energy sector. In the 1980s, the abrupt fall in international oil prices severely impacted many producing countries. However, thanks to previous investments in infrastructure, technological advances, and intelligent market diversification, Mexico managed to sustain its operations and continue offering high-quality crude. Currently, resilience manifests in the ability to adapt both operationally and financially. Mexico adjusts its production according to global demand, focusing on key markets or modulating volumes to balance prices and ensure profitability. This ability allows it to shield itself against external situations, from international conflicts to unexpected variations in the global economy, projecting confidence and security to its partners and international clients. The diversification of clients and export routes further strengthens this resilience. Mexico does not limit its market to a single nation or a specific economic bloc, ensuring that any disruption in one market can be compensated by activity in another. The true strength of Mexican oil lies not only in its quality or the magnitude of its reserves, but in the skill of those who manage, extract, and transform it into concrete value. Engineers, geologists, technicians, and specialists form a human capital that turns each barrel into a symbol of efficiency, influence, and sustainability. The experience accumulated over decades of oil exploitation has created a knowledge ecosystem that projects power and autonomy internationally. During the sector's expansion in the 20th century, Mexico understood that relying exclusively on foreign technology or companies limited its sovereignty. Therefore, it created specialized institutes and training programs, forming professionals capable of leading complex projects, innovating extraction techniques, and perfecting processes with great precision. The strategic impact of this human capital is reflected in the industry's efficiency and resilience. When a field declines or a technical challenge arises, these specialists manage to maintain production, optimize resources, and ensure that Mexican oil remains globally competitive. Some fields, like Cantarell and Kumalo, have become benchmarks not only for their size but because they were scenes of Mexican innovation. Technicians and engineers applied advanced secondary and tertiary recovery solutions, extending the useful life of the reservoirs and increasing production without sacrificing sustainability. Mexican oil is not just an economic resource but a tool of strategic and diplomatic influence. Each barrel has the potential to alter international relations, balance tensions, and strengthen alliances without resorting to military conflicts. Today, power is also measured by the capacity to control critical resources, and Mexico has managed to transform its crude oil into a true energy currency capable of opening doors and generating respect internationally. During the second half of the 20th century, when energy globalization began to define power dynamics, Mexico used its production to strengthen ties with various international blocs, ensuring that its exports were more than mere commercial transactions, turning them into political negotiation tools. The strategic nature of Mexican oil is reflected in its distribution and market positioning. The selection of clients is not random. Preference is given to those who contribute to strengthening Mexico's position, generating trust and projecting stability. Every barrel exported with superior quality or destined for key markets becomes a message of sovereignty and power, demonstrating that the country does not depend on third parties to maintain its relevance in global energy politics. This control capacity turns oil into a currency that transcends economic value, projecting influence and shaping international dynamics. The power of Mexican oil does not reside only in its quality, extraction, or refining, but in the country's ability to place its resources strategically across multiple international markets. Mexico does not rely exclusively on a single buyer or a specific economic bloc. By diversifying its export destinations, the country guarantees steady income, expands its influence, and preserves its independence against external pressures. In the 1980s, fluctuations in the international market impacted many producing nations, forcing them to depend on few buyers. Mexico chose to expand its export routes and establish links with multiple markets, transforming its oil into a diplomatic and economic tool capable of adapting to unforeseen changes. The markets Mexico targets include the United States, Europe, Asia, and India, each with particular demands. This plurality allows Mexico to maximize the value of its crude oil and refined products by adjusting the supply to the specific demands of each region. Additionally, this diversification reduces vulnerability to external changes. If one market undergoes an economic or political crisis, Mexico can redirect its production to other destinations, protecting its income and ensuring internal stability. Human talent and logistical infrastructure play an essential role in this strategy, coordinating complex operations that optimize routes, timing, and quality. Mexican oil power is amplified when the country uses advanced technology to optimize every resource. Oil exploration requires precision, innovation, and strategic vision. Mexico has demonstrated the ability to integrate these skills to extract crude efficiently, sustainably, and profitably. Mexican exploration incorporates artificial intelligence, satellite monitoring systems, and sophisticated drilling techniques that allow for the accurate identification and exploitation of reservoirs. This reduces risks, optimizes costs, and ensures maximum resource utilization. Technological efficiency not only increases production, but also reduces environmental impact, reinforcing Mexico's international image as a reliable and responsible supplier. During the modernization of mature oil fields in the 1990s, Mexico adopted advanced recovery technologies that not only increased production, but also transformed reservoirs previously considered depleted into profitable and strategic sources. This experience solidified the conviction that technological innovation can transform natural limitations into power opportunities, and that knowledge applied to exploration is an essential pillar for energy sovereignty. Technological efficiency directly influences strategic export planning and the refining process, allowing Mexico to adapt its supply to international markets and ensuring that every barrel processed meets demanding standards. The true power is also reflected in the dynamization of the internal economy and the strengthening of the national industry. Each barrel extracted and refined generates specialized employment, boosts local suppliers, and fosters technological innovation, turning the oil industry into a development engine that multiplies its influence beyond borders. From the first fields discovered in the 20th century to modern refineries, Mexico has integrated value chains that not only produce crude oil, but also generate refined products, petrochemicals, and intermediate goods for various industries, strengthening economic autonomy and reducing import dependence. The oil industry becomes a center of innovation and human capital formation, where the knowledge generated has multiplier effects in other areas of the economy, strengthening sectors such as engineering, logistics, and manufacturing. The infrastructure linked to oil creates an industrial ecosystem capable of sustaining economic growth and projecting social stability. Every investment in technology, every improvement in energy efficiency, and every expansion project reinforce the country's autonomy. The impact on the national economy translates into greater bargaining power and financial resilience, allowing Mexico to invest in social programs, public infrastructure, and technology. The strength of Mexican oil is enhanced when the country demonstrates the ability to manage its resources with environmental responsibility and strategic sustainability. In a world where international pressures demand high ecological protection standards, Mexico has incorporated practices that guarantee that oil extraction and refining do not compromise the balance of its ecosystems or the health of its communities, projecting leadership and credibility in global markets. Over time, the industry adopted stricter control protocols and clean technologies that not only reduced pollution, but also improved energy efficiency and safety in hydrocarbon management. Today, sustainability manifests through advanced technologies for ecological monitoring, effective waste management systems, and optimized energy processes in refineries and oil fields. The implementation of these practices ensures that every barrel extracted and processed meets rigorous international standards, elevating the credibility of Mexican oil in highly demanding markets and strengthening its weight in global negotiations. The incorporation of sustainable methods reinforces Mexico's image as a sovereign nation aware of its global commitments, raising its prestige and negotiating power. Throughout history, Mexico has faced situations where it had to balance its relations with major powers without sacrificing its autonomy. During the second half of the 20th century, the global oil industry was dominated by corporations and states with overwhelming power. With a strategic vision, Mexico began exploring alternative markets and efficient production methods, projecting its economic influence without resorting to military confrontations or direct political conflicts. The country applies this indirect strategy by selecting strategic markets and clients, prioritizing those where its high-quality oil generates greater economic and diplomatic value, and by optimizing production and refining to maintain competitive advantages. Market diversification and energy independence are essential pillars of this strategy. By avoiding exclusive dependence on a single economic bloc, Mexico can adjust its influence and respond to actions by other powers, preserving its sovereignty intact. This enables it to compete indirectly, projecting stability and respect while maintaining its oil as a tool of economic, diplomatic, and geopolitical power. Indirect competition reflects a central principle in energy power. Strength is not always measured through direct clash, but in the ability to exert influence intelligently, strategically, and discreetly. Beyond its economic and geopolitical value, Mexican oil exercises symbolic and cultural power that strengthens national identity and projects its influence worldwide. Each barrel produced symbolizes independence, sovereignty, and a collective pride that reaffirms Mexico as a protagonist capable of making strategic decisions on the global stage. The 1938 oil expropriation was a clear demonstration that Mexico could firmly defend its resources against external interests, consolidating a sovereign identity that endures today. This historic event became an international reference for economic self-determination, establishing a cultural standard where oil management transcends mere economics. Today, this symbolic power is reflected in the operation of refineries like Dos Bocas, which demonstrate Mexico's capacity to control its energy destiny. Mexican oil becomes a symbol of power that goes beyond the market. Culturally, this energy industry influences social and educational narratives, generating specialized jobs and development opportunities that impact entire communities, reinforcing a sense of belonging and collective pride. Moreover, by combining quality, efficiency, and environmental responsibility, Mexico turns its oil into a benchmark of trust and leadership, sending a clear message of strategic resource management with intelligence, ethics, and vision. Looking to the future, Mexican oil represents a tool to project influence, stability, and strategic leadership in the coming decades. Mexico has managed to integrate natural reserves, advanced infrastructure, and specialized human talent to build an energy legacy that ensures each barrel extracted has a lasting economic, political, and social impact. From the 1938 nationalization to the modernization of mature fields and the construction of high-performance refineries, Mexico has shown that its oil represents much more than an economic resource. It is a strategic tool built with vision and discipline. The future rests on